The emergency beacon cut through space like a knife through silence, its distress signal pulling Captain Marcus Reed from his routine cargo run to the outer colonies. Marcus had been hauling freight for 8 years since leaving Earth's overcrowded cities, and he'd learned to trust his instincts about these things. Something about this particular signal felt different, desperate in a way that made his chest tighten with concern. The beacon led him to Station Omega-7, a forgotten mining outpost orbiting a dead star. The place had been abandoned for years, its corridors dark and filled with the kind of silence that spoke of dreams long dead. Marcus docked his ship, the Wanderer, and grabbed his emergency kit. The station's artificial gravity was barely functioning, making each step feel like walking through thick honey. He found her in the observatory deck, standing perfectly still before the massive viewport. Even from behind, Marcus could tell she wasn't human. Her skin had a subtle blue tint that seemed to shimmer in the starlight, and her hair was silver white, cascading down her back like liquid moonlight. She wore what looked like a form-fitting, environmental suit, but it was torn and stained with something that definitely wasn't oil. "Hello?" Marcus called softly, not wanting to startle her. "I picked up your distress signal." She turned slowly, and Marcus felt his breath catch in his throat. Her face was hauntingly beautiful, with high cheekbones and large eyes that seemed to hold depths of starlight. But it was the pain in those eyes that hit him like a physical blow. Raw, fresh grief that spoke of betrayal and abandonment. "You came," she whispered, her voice carrying a musical quality that made something warm unfurl in Marcus's chest. I didn't think anyone would come." "What's your name?" Marcus asked, stepping closer. Now he could see the delicate patterns etched into her skin around her temples, some kind of neural interface or cultural marking. "Zara," she said. "Zara Nightfall of the Vile Thara Collective. Or, I was. I suppose I'm nothing now." The way she said it with such matter-of-fact despair made Marcus want to wrap her in his arms and promise her that everything would be okay. Instead, he kept his voice gentle. "What happened here, Zara?" Her laugh held no humor. "I was deemed defective, emotionally compromised. My people don't tolerate weakness, and apparently my ability to feel compassion for other species was considered a severe psychological disorder." Marcus felt anger flare in his chest. "Compassion isn't a disorder. It's what makes us civilized. Try telling that to the Valthera High Command." Zara's fingers traced the torn fabric of her suit. "They brought me here for correction. When that failed, they decided abandonment was more efficient than execution. Fewer questions from the Galactic Council that way." "How long have you been here?" 3 days, maybe 4. Time moves strangely when you're waiting to die. She looked back at the viewport, where the dead star cast its pale light across space. "I keep thinking I see their ships returning for me, but it's just space debris and wishful thinking." Marcus moved to stand beside her, close enough to catch the subtle scent of her skin, something like ozone and exotic flowers. "Well, you're not dying on my watch. Come on, let's get you to my ship." Zara turned to study his face, those starlight eyes searching for something. "Why would you help me? You don't know anything about me." "I could be dangerous." "Could be," Marcus agreed. "But you're not. I can tell." He extended his hand. "Besides, anyone who gets abandoned for being too compassionate is exactly the kind of person the universe needs more of." For a long moment, Zara stared at his outstretched palm. When she finally reached out, her fingers were cool and smooth, with an almost electric quality that made his skin tingle. The simple contact sent something like lightning up his arm. "I've never—" she began, then stopped, her cheeks darkening with what might have been a blush. "Physical contact isn't common among my people. We consider it primitive." "Then your people are missing out," Marcus said softly, not letting go of her hand. "Touch is one of the most beautiful forms of communication." Something flickered in Zara's eyes, curiosity maybe, or the first stirring of something deeper. "Communication? Sure. It can say, 'I'm here,' or 'you're safe,' or 'you matter to someone.'" Marcus gave her hand a gentle squeeze. "Right now it's saying, 'You're not alone anymore.'" Zara's breath hitched slightly, and Marcus realized how close they were standing. In the pale starlight, her alien features were breathtaking. The elegant curve of her neck, the way her silver hair caught the light, the subtle luminescence of her skin. There was something achingly vulnerable about her, like a wild creature that had never known kindness. "We should go," Marcus said reluctantly, though every instinct screamed at him to stay close to this mysterious woman. "If your people change their minds about leaving you here, they won't," Zara said with quiet certainty. "The Valthara don't change their minds. But you're right. This place, it holds too many painful memories." As they made their way through the station's darkened corridors, Marcus found himself hyper-aware of Zara's presence beside him. The way she moved with fluid grace despite her obvious injuries, the soft sound of her breathing, the occasional brush of her shoulder against his arm. There was something magnetic about her, something that made him want to know everything about her world, her people, her dreams. Back on the Wanderer, Marcus watched Zara explore his ship with wide-eyed wonder. Everything seemed to fascinate her. The worn leather of his pilot's chair, the collection of books secured to the bulkhead, the small hydroponics garden where he grew fresh vegetables. "It's so personal," she said, running her fingers along the edge of his navigation console. "Your people make your living spaces reflect your inner selves, don't yours? Valthara ships are standardized, efficient. Personal expression is considered a distraction from duty." She paused at his bookshelf, tilting her head to read the titles. "What are these?" "Books. Stories mostly. Adventures, romances, tales of exploration." Marcus moved to stand behind her, close enough to smell that intoxicating scent again. "I collect them from different worlds. Stories help us understand each other, don't you think?" Zara pulled out a worn volume, a collection of love poetry from Earth's classical period. "Romance," she repeated, testing the unfamiliar word. "We have no equivalent concept in Valthara culture." "What do your people do when they're attracted to someone?" "Attraction is irrelevant. Mating pairs are assigned based on genetic compatibility and social utility." She opened the book, her eyes scanning the ancient verses. "But this, shall I compare thee to a summer's day? This speaks of something else entirely. It speaks of seeing someone as beautiful, precious, worth celebrating." Marcus's voice had grown husky without his meaning it to. "It speaks of love." Zara looked up at him, and Marcus saw something new in her expression, a hunger he recognized because it was mirrored in his own chest. The space between them seemed to crackle with possibility. "Show me," she whispered. And as the stars wheeled past the viewport, Marcus Reed realized that saving Zara Nightfall might have been the moment his real life began. The proximity alarms screamed through the Wanderer's hull like banshees, jolting Marcus from the most peaceful sleep he'd had in years. He'd been dreaming of silver hair and starlight eyes, of soft alien skin under his fingertips. Now reality crashed back as his tactical display lit up with 3 rapidly approaching vessels. "Valthara hunter ships," Zara breathed from beside him, her face pale in the red emergency lighting. She'd been sleeping in the passenger cabin, but the alarms had brought her running to the cockpit, wearing only a thin sleeping garment that clung to her curves in ways that made Marcus's mouth go dry despite their dire situation. "They found us faster than I expected," she continued, her fingers dancing over the sensor controls with practiced efficiency. "They must have been monitoring subspace communications. My distress beacon—" "Hey." Marcus caught her hand, stilling her panicked movements. "We're going to be okay. The Wanderer might not look like much, but she's fast, and I know these asteroid fields better than any military pilot." Zara's breathing was rapid and shallow, her eyes wide with fear. "You don't understand. They won't just take me back. They'll dissect you to learn about human anatomy, study your brain to understand why you helped me." Something cold and fierce settled in Marcus's chest. "Then we better not let them catch us." He threw the ship into a spiraling dive between 2 massive asteroids, using their gravitational fields to slingshot deeper into the belt. Behind them, The hunter ships followed, their sleek forms cutting through space like silver knives. Marcus had to admit they were beautiful ships, all flowing curves and organic lines, but their beauty was the cold perfection of predators. There, Zara pointed to a dense cluster of metallic asteroids. The iron content will interfere with their sensors, but we'll have to navigate manually. Marcus nodded, his hands flying over the controls as he guided them into the maze of spinning rock and metal. The Wanderer groaned under the stress of constant course corrections, but she held together. Behind them, he could see the hunters struggling, with the sensor interference, their formation breaking apart as they tried to follow. "We might actually," Marcus began, then stopped as one of the hunter ships emerged directly ahead of them, weapons charging. Without thinking, he yanked the controls hard to starboard, sending them into a tumbling roll that had both him and Zara pressed against their restraints. The enemy's plasma beams carved through space where they'd been seconds before, close enough that Marcus could feel the heat through the hull. "Marcus!" Zara's cry of alarm made him look over, and he saw her restraint had failed. She was floating free in the cabin, her sleeping garment riding up to reveal long, perfectly sculpted legs with that same blue-tinted skin that seemed to glow from within. Without hesitation, Marcus unstrapped himself and caught her against his chest, one arm wrapping around her waist while the other braced against the bulkhead. For a moment they were pressed together, her soft curves molded against his body, her face inches from his own. "Are you hurt?" he asked, his voice rougher than he intended. "No, Zara's words trailed off as she became aware of their position. Her hands had come up to rest against his chest, and Marcus could feel the rapid flutter of her pulse through her fingertips. "Marcus, what's happening to me? My people we don't experience physical sensations like this." "Like what?" He knew he should move away, strap them both back in, and focus on flying. But something about the wonder in her voice kept him frozen. "My skin feels like it's on fire wherever you touch me. My heart is racing, and there's this ache, low, in my belly that I've never felt before." Her eyes searched his face. "Is this what humans call desire?" Marcus's control snapped. He cupped her face in his hands and kissed her, pouring all his need and protectiveness and growing love into the contact. Zara gasped against his lips, then melted into him with a soft moan that sent fire straight through his veins. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Zara's eyes were bright with something that looked like joy mixed with amazement. "Show me more," she whispered. "Show me everything my people tried to take from me." The ship lurched as another plasma beam grazed their shields, reminding them both of their immediate danger. Marcus reluctantly pulled away, getting them both secured before taking manual control again. "Hold that thought," he said with a grin that was equal parts promise and challenge. "Let me lose these hunters first. Then I'll show you things your people never dreamed of." As the Wanderer dove deeper into the asteroid field, Marcus caught Zara's reflection in the viewport. She was touching her lips with wonder, her eyes fixed on him with an intensity that made his pulse race. Whatever happened next, he knew there was no going back. They'd crossed a line that would change both their lives forever. The hunter ships fell further behind, their larger frames unable to navigate the tight spaces between asteroids. Soon, they were alone again, just two hearts beating in the vast darkness of space, bound together by something stronger than gravity. "Where to now?" Zara asked, her voice still breathless from their kiss. Marcus checked their position, then smiled. "I know a place. Somewhere we can be safe for a while. Somewhere I can properly show you what you've been missing." Paradise Station. Hung in the void like a jewel made of light and dreams, its bioluminescent spires twisting through space in patterns that seemed to pulse with their own heartbeat. Marcus guided the Wanderer through the approach vector, watching Zara's face as she took in the sight of the famous pleasure world. "It's alive," she breathed, pressing her face to the viewport. "The entire station is some kind of living organism. Symbiotic bioarchitecture," Marcus explained, enjoying her wonder. "The Hedonari built it from cultivated coral that feeds on stellar radiation. Paradise Station exists for one purpose: to celebrate the physical and emotional connections between all Sentient species, Zara turned to him, those starlight eyes wide with curiosity. All species? All species. Human, Altarian, Zephyrian, even some Vylthara who've learned to embrace their emotions. Marcus's smile was warm and inviting. It's the one place in the galaxy where love isn't just accepted, it's worshipped. The docking bay was a marvel of organic engineering, its walls pulsing with gentle bioluminescence as tendrils of living coral guided them to a berth. As they disembarked, Zara moved close to Marcus's side, overwhelmed by the sensory assault of the station's main concourse. Music drifted through the air, not from speakers, but from the walls themselves, which vibrated with harmonic frequencies that seemed to resonate in their bones. The lighting shifted and flowed like aurora, casting everything in soft, romantic hues, and everywhere they looked, beings from across the galaxy moved together in displays of affection that ranged from tender to passionately explicit. "I've never seen anything like this," Zara whispered, watching as a pair of crystalline Altarians performed what could only be described as an intimate dance, their bodies chiming like wind bells as they touched. On Vylthara Prime, public displays of emotion are forbidden. "Then your people are fools," Marcus said softly, taking her hand and leading her deeper into the station. "This is what the universe is supposed to be like. This is what we're fighting for." They found lodging in one of the station's organic suites, a living chamber that responded to their emotional states by adjusting temperature, lighting, and even the firmness of the coral beds. The moment they were alone, Zara turned to Marcus with an expression of nervous anticipation. "I don't know how to do this," she admitted, her hands trembling as she reached for the fastenings of her torn flight suit. "My people made for reproduction only. There's no art to it. No pleasure." Marcus stepped closer, covering her hands with his own. "Then let me teach you. Let me show you what it means to make love." He began slowly, reverently, as if she were made of precious crystal. His fingers traced the elegant line of her collarbone, marveling at how her skin seemed to glow brighter under his touch. When he pressed his lips to the pulse point at her throat, Zara gasped and arched into him like a flower turning toward the sun. "The sensations," she breathed, her hands fisting in his shirt. "It's like lightning under my skin. How do humans function feeling this intensely?" "We don't always," Marcus admitted with a laugh, his own voice rough with desire. "Sometimes it overwhelms us completely." He showed her then what it meant to be overwhelmed. His mouth mapped every inch of her alien beauty, the delicate ridges along her temples that were more sensitive than he'd imagined, the silver patterns that traced down her spine and made her cry out when he followed them with his tongue. Her skin tasted like starlight and ozone, exotic and addictive. When Zara's flight suit finally fell away, Marcus felt his breath catch. Her body was a masterpiece of alien grace, tall and willowy, but curved in all the right places. Her blue-tinted skin marked with intricate silver patterns that seemed to pulse with her heartbeat, but it was the trust in her eyes that undid him completely. "You're so beautiful," he whispered, and watched her face transform with wonder at the compliment. "Beautiful," she repeated, testing the word. "We have no equivalent in Vylthara. Functional, efficient, optimal, these are the qualities my people value. Then they're blind." Marcus's hands skimmed over her sides, learning the alien landscape of her body. "You're not functional, Zara. You're art." What followed was a revelation for both of them. Zara's alien physiology responded to touch in ways that amazed Marcus. Her skin would actually glow brighter when she was aroused, the silver patterns shifting and swirling like liquid metal, and when she finally cried out his name, her entire body erupted in bioluminescent fire that left them both breathless. Afterward, they lay entwined on the living coral bed, which had adjusted its surface to cradle them both perfectly. Zara traced patterns on Marcus's chest with one finger, her expression thoughtful. "I understand now why they feared this," she said softly. "Why they called it a disease. This connection we share, it makes everything else seem hollow. How could I ever go back to the cold efficiency of Vylthara society after experiencing this warmth?" Marcus tightened his arms around her. You don't have to go back. We'll find a way to... The station's gentle alarm chimes interrupted him, followed by an announcement that made his blood run cold. Attention Paradise Station residents. Valthara military vessels have entered our system and are requesting permission to board. All citizens are advised to remain calm and cooperate with security sweeps. Zara sat up abruptly, her skin pale despite its blue tint. They found us. Even here they found us. Marcus was already moving, gathering their scattered clothes. How long do we have? Not long. Valthara hunters are efficient. Zara's voice was steady, but Marcus could see the fear in her eyes. Marcus, you could still leave me here. Save yourself. He stopped and stared at her, incredulous. After what we just shared? After what we've discovered together? He cupped her face in his hands, forcing her to meet his eyes. Zara, I would fight the entire Valthara fleet before I'd let them take you from me. Something like hope flickered in her expression. You really mean that? I've never meant anything more in my life. Marcus kissed her fiercely, possessively. You're mine now, and I protect what's mine. As alarms began to sound throughout the station, Marcus and Zara prepared to run again. But this time, Marcus wasn't just protecting a refugee. He was fighting for the woman he loved, and that made all the difference in the universe. The Valthara warfleet materialized from hyperspace like a swarm of silver nightmares, their bioorganic hulls gleaming with deadly purpose. From the observation deck of Paradise Station, Marcus counted at least 20 vessels surrounding them. Far, more than needed to capture one defective exile. They're not just here for me, Zara said, her voice tight with realization. This is a demonstration. They want to show the galaxy what happens when you harbor their property. Marcus pulled her against his side, feeling the tension in her slender frame. You're not property. You're a person with rights, with feelings, with a genetic code that belongs to the collective. A cold voice interrupted from behind them. They spun to find Commander Thane Voidstrike standing in the observation lounge's entrance, flanked by 6 Valthara soldiers in dark combat armor. Unlike Zara's flowing, graceful form, the commander was built like a weapon, tall, angular, with skin that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Unit designation Zara Nightfall. Thane continued, his voice devoid of emotion. You will return to custody for final processing. Your contamination of this human will be studied and catalogued before his termination. Like hell, Marcus snarled, stepping protectively in front of Zara. His hand moved to the plasma pistol at his hip, though he knew it would be useless against armored Valthara soldiers. Thane's lips curved in what might have been a smile on a human face but looked purely predatory on his alien features. Your primitive emotional responses are fascinating, human. Do you actually believe you can protect her from an entire fleet? Watch me. What happened next would become legend among the pleasure worlds. Marcus Reed, a simple freight pilot from Earth's colonies, declared war on the Valthara collective for the love of one woman. The battle began in the observation lounge. Marcus dove sideways, using his knowledge of human reflexes to avoid the soldiers' energy weapons. His first shot took down a trooper's shield generator. His second found the gap in another's armor, but there were too many of them, and soon he was backed against the viewport with Zara pressed behind him. Surrender, human, Thane commanded. Your resistance is illogical. Logic's overrated, Marcus replied, then did something completely insane. He shot out the observation deck's transparasteel barrier. The explosive decompression sent bodies flying as Paradise Station's emergency systems kicked in. In the chaos, Marcus grabbed Zara and activated his emergency beacon. Not a distress call, but a general broadcast on all frequencies. This is Captain Marcus Reed of the merchant vessel Wanderer. His voice echoed across the station and beyond. The Valthara Collective is attempting to kidnap a political refugee from neutral space. Any vessel capable of rendering assistance, I'm willing to pay salvage rates for combat support. It was a desperate gambit. Mercenaries and traders weren't known for their altruism. But Marcus had underestimated the power of a good love story. The first ship to respond was the Rusty Comet, captained by a grizzled asteroid miner named Big Pete. who'd heard Marcus's broadcasts before. "Hell, Reed, you always did have a way with the ladies. Count me in." Then came the Stellar Rose, a passenger liner whose captain had fallen in love with a Centauri dancer 50 years ago. Then the Wild Hunt, crewed by ex-military who understood what it meant to leave no one behind. Within an hour, Marcus had assembled a ragtag fleet of 37 vessels, miners, traders, tourists, and pirates, all united by the simple human belief that love was worth fighting for. "This is impossible," Zara breathed as they watched the unlikely armada form up around Paradise Station. "They're risking their lives for strangers." "They're not fighting for strangers," Marcus said, pulling her close. "They're fighting for the idea that two people who love each other should be free to choose their own destiny. That's the most human thing there is." The space battle that followed was chaotic, desperate, and beautiful in its own way. Human tactical, thinking proved unpredictable to the ordered Valthara mind. Where the aliens expected formations and discipline, they found improvisation and courage, cargo haulers ramming warships, mining lasers retrofitted as weapons, passenger liners using their shields to protect smaller vessels. Marcus piloted the Wanderer through the chaos, Zara at his side coordinating with their unlikely allies. Her knowledge of Valthara tactics proved invaluable, turning the tide at critical moments. "Their flagship is targeting the station's power core," she warned. "If they destroy it, they'll kill thousands of innocents just to get to you." Marcus finished grimly. "Not happening." He threw the Wanderer into a suicidal dive toward the Valthara flagship, every ounce of skill and determination focused on one goal: protecting the woman he loved and the innocent lives she represented. The climax came when Commander Thane himself challenged Marcus to single combat, Valthara honor demanding personal satisfaction. They fought in the station's central plaza while the battle raged overhead, Marcus's human adaptability against Thane's alien strength and speed. It was Zara who ended it, stepping between them as Thane prepared to deliver a killing blow. "Enough," she cried, and something in her voice made both men freeze. "Thane, look around you. Look what your logical pursuit of one defective unit has cost. How many Valthara have died today? How many resources wasted? Where is the efficiency in that?" For the first time, uncertainty flickered in the commander's eyes. "I am not broken," Zara continued, her voice growing stronger. "I am evolved. And, if you were honest with yourself, you would admit that watching these humans fight for love has stirred something in your own chest that your conditioning tells you should not exist." Thane's weapon trembled in his grip. Around the plaza, the sounds of battle began to fade as both sides paused to listen. "Choose," Zara said simply. "Cling to the cold logic that breeds only more conflict, or embrace the possibility that there might be a better way." 6 months later, the wedding ceremony took place in the Crystal Gardens of New Geneva, with representatives from dozens of species in attendance. The battle at Paradise Station had sparked something across the galaxy, a movement toward understanding, toward the radical idea that love might be stronger than fear. Marcus stood at the altar wearing his dress uniform, the medals on his chest catching the light from 3 different suns. Beside him waited Zara, breathtaking in a gown that seemed woven from starlight itself, her silver hair adorned with flowers from both their worlds. The ceremony itself was a masterpiece of interspecies cooperation. Human vows mixed with Valthara, bonding rituals, while a choir of Altarian crystals provided harmonics that made the very air shimmer with music. Even some reformed Valthara attended, led by Commander Thane himself, who had become an unlikely advocate for what the media called the New Way. "Do you, Marcus Reed, take this woman as your partner in all things, to love and protect across all the worlds of space and time?" "I do," Marcus said, his voice strong and clear, "forever and always." "And do you, Zara Nightfall, choose this man as your bondmate, to share in the great adventure of hearts joined as one?" "I choose love," Zara replied, her words carrying the musical quality that had first captured Marcus's heart. "I choose connection. I choose him." As they kissed, sealing their bond before the stars themselves, The assembled crowd erupted in cheers that echoed across the gardens. Above them, a flyover of ships from the Battle of Paradise Station painted the sky with contrails, a reminder of what they'd fought for and won. The reception afterward became the stuff of legend. Beings from across the galaxy celebrated together, sharing food, music, and stories. The dance floor saw partnerships that would have been unthinkable just a year before. Valthera and humans, Altarians and Zephyrians all moving together in harmony. "Look what we started," Zara murmured as they swayed together to music that seemed to come from the cosmos itself. "We didn't start it," Marcus corrected, spinning her gently. "We just reminded everyone what was always there. The capacity for love, for sacrifice, for choosing connection over isolation." Around them, the celebration continued deep into the night. Stories were told of the great space battle fought for love, of the human who defied an empire for one woman, of the alien who chose emotion over logic. Children from a dozen worlds listened with wide eyes, dreaming of adventures where love conquered all. Later, alone in their honeymoon suite aboard a luxury starship orbiting the crystal planet, Marcus and Zara made love with a passion that had only grown stronger with time. Their bodies moved together in perfect synchronization, alien and human becoming simply two souls united in the vast darkness of space. "What happens now?" Zara asked afterward, tracing patterns on Marcus's chest as they floated together in the zero-gravity chamber. "Now we live," Marcus said simply. "We explore the galaxy together. We show other species what we've learned about love. We raise children who never have to choose between logic and emotion, because they'll understand both are necessary." Zara smiled, that radiant expression that had first made Marcus's heart skip. "The collective is already changing. Thane says there are entire sectors now that are questioning the old ways. Young Valthera are leaving to explore what they call the human path, and the humans are becoming more than they ever dreamed possible. Your people's capacity for love combined with alien knowledge and perspective, the universe is about to become a very interesting place." They drifted together in comfortable silence, watching the stars wheel past the viewport. Somewhere out there, other lovers were finding each other across the barriers of species and culture. Other hearts were learning that connection was stronger than isolation, that love was the force that truly moved the stars. "Do you ever regret it?" Marcus asked softly. "Giving up your old life for this uncertain future?" Zara turned in his arms, her starlight eyes bright with joy. "My old life was no life at all. This, you, us, the family we're creating. This is what I was meant for. The collective called it defective, but it was actually evolution." "Evolution toward what?" "Toward something better, toward hope." She kissed him then, soft and sweet and full of promise. "Toward love." Outside their window, the universe spun on in its eternal dance, but it was forever changed. Where once there had been separation and fear, now there was the possibility of unity. Where once different species had viewed each other as alien and threatening, now they saw potential partners in the great adventure of existence. And at the center of it all, a human freight pilot and an alien refugee had proven that love truly was the most powerful force in the cosmos. Their story would be told for generations, inspiring others to reach across the void and touch the hearts of strangers who might become something more. The wedding was just the beginning. Their real adventure, building a universe where love could flourish between any beings brave enough to reach for it, was just getting started. In the end, that's what made humans special in the galaxy. Not their technology or their weapons or their cunning, but their absolute, unshakable belief that love was worth fighting for. And in Zara Nightfall, they had found a partner species ready to explore that radical possibility. The stars themselves seemed to approve, twinkling with approval as the newlyweds drifted off to sleep, ready to dream of all the wonders their future might hold.